Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you for using my creator code whenever you purchase any Sims 4 DLC on the EA app or thesims.com. I receive a 5% commission each time you use my code, which means you're directly supporting me as a creator. I know there are a lot of codes floating around out there, so I am very grateful that you've chosen me to support in this way. Thank you so much. Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we're in Ravenwood. We're trying to build something a little bit spooky. Yes, we are. Specifically, we are recreating / reimagining, it's kind of a hybrid of the two, the Specter household. And no, not the version of the Specters that we got with the Life and Death expansion pack. No. We're recreating the house from The Sims 2. I'm gonna try not to use recreate and reimagine interchangeably because they are not the same in my brain. So let me give you context. Right, so some time ago, I actually reimagined the Broke Family trailer from The Sims 2 and brought it into The Sims 4, which was super fun. Now, if you also didn't know, I actually went on a spree of recreating the Sims 2 Sims in The Sims 4. So I made the Broke family, I made the Specter family, including Nervous Subject, i.e. Nyan Specter, as we kind of now know him, I suppose. I did the Curious Brothers, and I did like the Smith family, the Grunt family. It was really, really fun. If you're unfamiliar with all these families from The Sims 2, definitely check out those videos because I feel like you'll appreciate the lore so much because it brings so much not only to the Specter family now being in The Sims 4, but it's a little bit of Sims history, you know? And if you haven't played those games, The Sims or The Sims 2, like the original Sims games, they're actually available on the EA app now. The Legacy Collections, I think they're called. I think that's what they're called, the Legacy Collections. You can play both of those older games now through the EA app, and it's fantastic. So if you want to actively play with those families and get to know them, you can. Anyway, I have a lot to say about this. So I reimagined their trailer. Now for this one, for the Specter family, the family dynamic looks a little bit different in The Sims 4 versus The Sims 2. Again, I did a video on that entire family as well, so definitely check it out. I'll put it in the top right-hand side of the screen for you. So in The Sims 2, it was Olive Specter, who was an elder, and her niece, Ophelia Nigmos, who lived in this house. I will put it on screen for you from The Sims 2. This house, which we are kind of sort of replicating the outside of, but reimagining, right? Okay. You're following? All right. Hopefully I'm making sense. Now, Olive Specter had a graveyard on her property of past lovers, other random Sims, including Lila Grunt, the husband of General Buzz Grunt. And the whole thing is she has this very long-term relationship, if you will, with the Grim Reaper, because it's called Olive's Garden. She's got a whole freaking garden of graves, right? Now in The Sims 4, Nyan Specter is Nervous Subject. Nervous Subject in The Sims 2 is Olive Specter's son, but he lives with a family called the Beaker family. And he's been renamed Nervous Subject because he is a test subject in their basement. It's not great. It's not cool. But in The Sims 4, we brought, I think, an adult Olive Specter, a teenage Nervous Subject, whose name is actually Nyan Specter. And at the time, Olive Specter, I think I don't remember if she's married or if she's just in a relationship potentially, or if he's a roommate. I don't know. I haven't actually played with the Sims 4 version of them yet. But his name is Lane Coffin. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of maybe backwards in the timeline because obviously Nervous Subject is not Nervous Subject yet. He's Nyan Specter and he's a teenager and he lives with his mother. But the whole thing is that Nyan Specter is a child of the Grim Reaper. So Olive Specter's long-term relationship with the Grim Reaper is a romantic one, and they had a child together. Nervous Subject. So that's the whole backstory, if you didn't know. That's a very messy attempt at a Cliff Notes version of the Specter family from The Sims 2 to The Sims 4 and how they're connected, what's changed, where we're at, all that fun stuff. But for this house, I wanted to try to replicate the exterior to the best of my ability, including the landscaping, but add a Sims 4 flair to it. So it's a little bit different because with the Broke trailer, I completely reimagined it to The Sims 4. I didn't try to replicate from The Sims 2, but here I tried to replicate at least the structure, the landscaping, and the layout of the house itself. I tried to use furnishings, of course, that are in The Sims 4 that would match to what was in The Sims 2. It's obviously a very different time, very different furnishing pieces. And I want to try to use a lot of the life and death objects because, as I've mentioned in numerous voiceovers at this point, I was actually super sick during the time of the release of Life and Death, so I didn't get to really build with it. I didn't really get to explore the build and buy, the gameplay, or anything, and to this day, I still kind of sort of haven't, which is a bummer. But I want to integrate it into more of like my everyday gameplay as well. Like, this isn't a pack for me personally that I would be playing specifically for like the Grim, like the Reaper career. I think it's super cool, but it's just not my style. So I would be using a lot of the components about death and funerals and all that stuff in my everyday family gameplay, which is usually what I'm drawn towards. But anyway, look at this. We're building Olive's garden, which is basically a graveyard of past lovers, potentially scorned, other random Sims, as I mentioned. And I didn't designate whose graves these were. These are purely for show. I just wanted to add Olive's little graveyard because it's just so perfect. And even though we're building in Ravenwood, I tried to add a couple of cacti where they were in the original house as well. It felt so good. I felt like I was at home bringing this house into The Sims 4. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. I can't even explain it to you. And what's so fun about doing these reimaginings or recreations is I'm building in a way that I would not normally build. Like, this is not how I would have done the landscaping, for example, but it's a replica of the original landscaping with items in The Sims 4. I wouldn't have put the graveyard just like sitting there right in the front. Like, I might put it in the backyard or something. It's just not how I would typically build something. And that's the same for the interior. It's not how I would do a typical floor plan. It's not how I would typically furnish some things. So it was just very different. And even though it isn't my typical style, it just felt so good because as I was piecing it together, I'm like, oh my gosh, this really does look like the house. Like, this really fits them. I love this. It's fun to say, this is really working and I've made a replica of what I was trying to replicate. And even though it isn't typically what I would build or the way I would build something, it just works and it looks good, at least in my opinion. I think this house looks great. I loved it. I knew the second I wanted to build this house that the Castle Estate kit was going to come in so clutch. And it did. And it goes really well with a lot of the items from Life and Death, which was amazing. So now we're on to the interior. And again, I did try to replicate the floor plan. The only thing I didn't include, there was this one tiny room off of the kitchen that had like nothing in it. It may have had like a light on the wall. It had nothing in it. People have made that room into a bunch of different things in The Sims 2. I didn't include the room, mainly because I just didn't really know what I wanted it to be. So that's really the only alteration. I also considered adding a basement because I just thought that creepy Olive Specter would have a creepy basement for things and stuff, but I didn't do it. I was like, you know what? No, let's just stick with this kind of recreation to the best of our ability and then add things if we feel the need to. So when you originally walked right into Olive Specter's house, you are greeted with the dining room, which is literally a long dining table with just 2 chairs. Like, that's what you get. There weren't like curtains and stuff like this. So some of these things, like the curtain additions, maybe some of the other decorations that I add are just my kind of flair to it with the things we have in The Sims 4. But yeah, it was like a pretty empty room aside from that. It's just the dining table. And maybe, I think there were a couple of torches. I added like a big chandelier to really add to this whole vibe that we were going for. I added some candles and stuff. And I think I also added a big portrait of Grimm. Yeah, this one right here. I thought it was perfect. I'm like, okay, we all know that Olive is Grimm's one true love, right? Like, we know this. We know this. I feel like she has tokens of and for Grimm, like, all over the place. And I added this. I added this little, I guess what you call it, like a pedestal? The little, like, memorial object that we have with The Sims 4. Since there's so many Sims dying on her property, I figured she honors them for a brief moment in time and then just gets them out in the graveyard. You know what I mean? That's it. Just go on. All right. I did my thing. So I thought that was kind of a nice addition. And then we move on to the kitchen, which, like I said, so off of this kitchen was that little room that had nothing in it from The Sims 2. I just didn't add that. I just didn't want to. And I made the kitchen a lot bigger, I'd say, and more involved, more decorated. Definitely more decorated. Like in here originally, it was just like counter space and appliances and things, but I added a smaller dining table as well because again, I was trying to use more items from Life and Death. So this dining table actually fits more Sims. Maybe the dining table right out front is for when Grim comes to visit Olive and it's just the two of them that get to have their meals together. Oh, that's kind of a thought. I don't know why that is, but that's a thought. So maybe this table here is where, you know, her and Ophelia, if you're playing with her and Ophelia, that version of them, or if you're playing with her, Lane, and Nyan Specter, they can have breakfast or other smaller meals or anything like that here in the kitchen. I also added this huge hutch. I love this hutch. Had never seen it before. Came with Life and Death. Same with like all the doors I use throughout this build. Also came from Life and Death. Beautiful doors. Like I just love all of the different objects that have skulls on them. Like just nods to death and grim and stuff. It's really fun for me, even though this isn't my typical build style. And maybe the world of Ravenwood, especially this neighborhood, which I forget the name of, it's not where I'm going to spend a lot of my time gameplay wise. I think it's super cool. And it makes for some really fun storytelling and play styles if that's your vibe, you know? At some point I might play with the Reaper career just because it's hilarious to me. I think that's hilarious. It's one of those things that makes The Sims, truly. Like it's so ridiculous. Like you're a Grim turn? What do you mean? What do you mean? You're gonna go work for the Grim Reaper? Like that is absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, this is going to be one of the 2 bathrooms. So there are 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms in this house. There's basically a bathroom on either side of the house, just like the original. And so Olive's bedroom is here off to the right-hand side, like near this bathroom where we are right now. And then Ophelia's room, in theory, is on the other side of the house. Now, I think in her room, she must have just become a teenager or something, because these must have been remnants of when she was a child, because there's like a dollhouse and a teddy bear and stuff. She's a teen in The Sims 2, so those items weren't brought into her room in The Sims 4 for me either. I'll talk more about her room when we get there, I guess, because I'm just like going off on all these tangents because there's so much lore with this family. They're one of my favorite families from The Sims 2, and reimagining their house in The Sims 4 was just, it was a blast. Like I had so much fun. I did this in one sitting. I was so into it. But Olive's room here, I give her the spell book from Vampires, and I think at the very last minute I add from the debug menu, I think it's the tarot card shrine or totem or something. Look, Olive is into some stuff. I don't know what she's into exactly, but she's into some stuff to have the relationship with Grim that she has, right? Like, we can at least agree on that. So she's into some stuff. I also gave her a, is it a crow or a raven? The new bird pet thing that we have where you get pecked to death. Olive's got one of those, because of course she does. I imagine that bird is like sitting on her shoulder like a parrot all the time. That's what I imagine. And like, whether you're playing with Ophelia or Nyan, like they steer clear of the bird. They don't like the bird. They're not a fan of the bird. They're scared of the bird. Now here is going to be the living room. Again, I would never set up a living room like this. This is just how it was loosely set up in The Sims 2. I added the coffee table and the really big, beautiful fireplace that we got with Life and Death. But there was like a computer desk, a little room divider against a wall for some reason, and a couch. That's what you got. I didn't add a television to this build because I just wanted the fireplace to really be that centerpiece. It's just so beautiful, and I didn't want to block it with a television, and I didn't think that Olive would have a television in her house. Oh, and then I found these torches from Life and Death, and I just tossed them in a bunch of corners of the house because there were so many barren corners, and I didn't want to fill them all with plants because I didn't feel like this house would have a ton of plants. Like some plants, I put them in that dining room there in the entryway, but not a ton of plants. And then the very last room that we work on is actually going to be Ophelia's room. There we go. I've been saying Ophelia, right? Yeah, okay. I made it for Ophelia, but you could easily transform this room for Nyan Specter if you want to play with the Sims 4 version of the Specters. But I put up like some posters from Life and Death that I thought were a little grim, pardon my pun. And then I also... Okay, that was ridiculous. I also added a chess table, just to have another activity, and a guitar that had like the skull on it and stuff, and this red swatch. Thought that was perfect. Also the bonefish aquarium from, I think, Base Game, which was extremely appropriate as well. And that's pretty much it for this build. I was trying to go for a level of authenticity, but also toss in some of the activities and things that we have from The Sims 4 to make it a little bit more fun and functional. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.